Welcome to the Beast Whisperer. In the vast, untamed heart of the Amazon rainforest, where sunlight filters through a thick canopy of leaves and shadows slither silently across the forest floor, lived a man named Elias. He wasn't a hunter. He wasn't a tourist. Elias was an environmental biologist with a deep reverence for the wilderness, a quiet soul who found more comfort in birdsong and rustling leaves than in conversation or concrete jungles. He had left behind a bustling city life, trading it for a hut nestled beside the river's bend, and a life spent listening to the heartbeat of the forest. Elias had a past, one that weighed on him. Years ago, on an expedition, he'd lost a friend to a poacher's snare. The guilt haunted him, carved into the lines of his face. Since then, saving what others had failed to protect became more than a mission. It became penance. Each morning, he would walk deep into the wilderness, documenting rare orchids, tracking elusive birds, and listening, not just with ears but with intuition, to the subtle changes in the forest's rhythm. But one morning, the forest fell silent. No birds, no monkey chatter, no rustling. Elias's instincts sharpened. Silence in the jungle was not peace. It was danger. Then it came. A low, guttural growl. Not fierce, not proud. It was wounded, desperate. He moved quickly but cautiously, machete slicing through thick vines. Minutes passed before he reached a clearing bathed in shafts of gold light. There, lying in the shadows, was a panther. Its obsidian coat was streaked with dirt, its powerful front paw clamped in a cruel steel trap, flesh torn, blood soaking into the earth. The beast's golden eyes blazed with pain and terror. It growled, baring teeth, its body trembling from trauma and exhaustion. Elias froze. This was no ordinary encounter. This was a crossroad between life and death, for both of them. He knelt slowly, whispering into the air, his voice calm but firm. "I'm not your enemy." The panther growled again, but it was fading. Its strength was draining. Elias knew time was scarce. If he waited too long, the animal would die. Or worse, poachers would return. With trembling hands, he prepared a sedative dart. He had one chance. The dosage had to be precise. He exhaled, whispered a prayer to the jungle gods, and fired. The dart struck the panther's flank. It roared in pain, staggering, then dropped its head. Minutes crawled by as its breathing slowed. Elias moved closer. The trap was ancient, rusted and cruel, embedded deep into flesh. He knelt, feeling the beast's breath against his arm, and began working. Metal groaned under pressure. Sweat ran down his face. The jungle around him felt alive, watching. And then, snap. The trap broke open. The panther lay limp. Elias bandaged the wound, using herbs to fight infection, wrapping it with the care of a healer. He couldn't carry the panther back, so he stayed. He built a shelter from palm leaves, lit a fire, shared his rations, and he waited. That night, the forest returned to life, but the air inside their camp was sacred. Elias whispered stories, not knowing if the panther heard, but needing to speak them anyway. On the second day, the panther stirred. Its eyes opened. It growled, weakly, but made no move to attack. Days passed. Elias tended to it with quiet devotion. He spoke of his guilt, of his lost friend, of the silence that lived inside him. The panther listened, or maybe it simply accepted his presence. By the 6th day, it allowed him to clean the wound without flinching. And on the 7th, it stood. Wounded but proud, it moved to the edge of the clearing, turned, and vanished into the trees. Elias stood there, heart heavy. He hadn't even said goodbye. He packed his supplies. The bond they had forged in silence, in trust, felt like a dream. But the jungle wasn't done. That night, he woke to the sound of movement. Not hostile, curious. Near the stream where he had washed days before, something shimmered in the moonlight. A necklace. woven from jungle vines. In its center, a perfect obsidian stone. It looked ancient, tribal. He stared. There were no footprints, no signs of another human. He looked up, and there it was. The panther, perched high above, half hidden in the branches, staring with eyes that no longer held pain, but something deeper, a knowing, a connection. The moment lasted seconds, then it vanished once more. The next morning, Elias wandered back to the spot. The necklace was still there. He picked it up with reverence. It felt warm. How had it gotten there? Could it be a gift, a gesture, a message? He didn't know, but he kept it with him, close to his chest. When Elias finally returned to civilization, he was changed. People asked about the necklace, and he'd smile faintly. A gift from someone who doesn't speak. The jungle had given him many things: fear, silence, wonder. But this was different. It had given him redemption. In the following months, Elias worked harder than ever. He began building sanctuaries, setting up anti-poaching patrols, and training local communities to protect the wildlife. His story spread quietly, passed from ranger to ranger, whispered in villages along the forest's edge. And then one day, during a training expedition, he was leading a group of volunteers through a dense patch of forest when one of them froze. "Sir," the volunteer whispered, pointing. There, watching from the trees, was the panther. It didn't flee, it simply stared, unblinking. And then, behind it, 2 cubs. Elias gasped. It was a she, had survived, and thrived. She gave a soft growl, then disappeared into the underbrush with her young. The group was stunned. Elias just smiled, eyes glistening. "That," he whispered, "is her thank you." Later, as he lay in his hammock beneath the stars, necklace glinting faintly in the firelight, Elias finally understood. What he had done wasn't just about saving an animal. It was about rekindling something ancient, something primal, a bond between species. And in the heart of a forest where shadows breathe and spirits linger, a legend was born. They say the panther still watches over that clearing, that sometimes late at night travelers hear soft footfalls and find strange gifts left in the moonlight. And those who do, never forget. For the jungle remembers kindness. It honors courage. And sometimes, it returns the favor in the most extraordinary ways.